And with that, we hit the big red button. It is 2 o'clock on Friday, which means happy Pi Day or happy Pi Day or whatever. Happy drama, happy dramas. I need a good, consistent greeting for this, don't I? I know, I crack myself up. Hey, everybody, happy Friday. It is Pi Day Friday. It's 2 o'clock Central Time. And I am Dave Rush. I'm the senior instructor at Total Seminars. And this is the Pi Day Friday Dramas Ask Me Anything. We meet here once a week at 2 o'clock on Fridays for give or take 2 hours or so. We shoot the breeze for an hour. We talk about the news of pies and CompTIA and things like that. We work on a project or two or none, depending on what our day has to do. Let me get that cleaned up. There we go. Something is okay, right where it should be. Excuse me. Dry throat. Yeah, thank you, Scott. I was looking at the other message that's going on about domain name servers, and I want to get in on that fray, but I'm going to be busy for the next couple hours. Oh, I should not have clicked that. Stand by. My machine is going to do something that I can fix in hopefully 5, 4, 3. There we go. All right, back in business. So as we said, we're getting together every Friday or so at 2 o'clock and talk about all things CompTIA, especially our bailiwick is the trifecta A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, ITF Plus. We have with us the esteemed author of ITF Plus, author of a number of the other books and co-author of many of the books, all of the books that comes out of Total Seminars. Scott Jernigan is here, writer, senior editor for Total Seminars, musician. I was going to go down a bad road. That's not it. A professional yard tamer. If ever you should see his yard. It wins awards twice a year. Hey, that's something, Scott, you're going to have to come on in the next 1 to 2 weeks, worst case, because we're staring down Halloween and you put up annually one of the greatest Halloween displays in the Houston area, if not in the nation. And I want to talk to you about that, see what's going on this year. So Scott Jernigan is obviously not on camera today. He is here. He is participating with us. He ran into a chapter that came back and somebody fired up the bullwhip and said, that must be in today. So he is writing like a madman, polling the team for research and things like that. I get the polls here. Our back channel, no matter what channel I'm watching, I'm watching one that's just Scott and mine. So he can see something and point something out to me and say, hey, don't forget to answer Avocado's question at time mark 202 or whatever. But if on another channel, if my name gets mentioned or something like that, it pings and the system drags me over and such a pain. But I am here for you. Yes, I am. Oh, let's see. So at any rate, Scott's here. You can see he's posted. So you're able to post to him. I'll post too. There's something kind of weird about the posty thing. Usually you can't send a message to someone using the app thing unless they posted one time. But I find that not to be 100% consistent. So let me put something worthwhile of posting other than the word test. And let's see, show notes. Yeah, we'll put this one up. That'll give me something to talk about as well. Dry throat, forgive me. I'm sure it'll loosen up as we go. Okay, so I just posted at the current time, 4 minutes past the hour, the link to the document archive server. I do have today's documents up on the download page of that. Yeah, I don't know about you. I get bored with websites that don't change. And so I'm particularly guilty because I don't make much change on mine, except once a week I add a new link with the downloadables. So I looked at it today and I realized that the download links is just a gigantic list right now. And there's, I don't know, 50 or 60 of them. And what a pain, especially if you're looking for something in particular. So my plan next week is to get into that page and at least organize it into, months, shows in April of 2020 and April 2021 and things like that. And at least sort of compactify. Scott will tell me that that's not a word, but I used it, you understood it, and in common jargon and parlance, that makes it a word. Compactify. All right, what else is going on here? So I am Dave Rush. I'm the senior instructor at Total Seminars. I do stand-up training when we have stand-up training. Obviously, that's kind of washed away in these lockdown times. So I do everything else. I get to do this show once a week, and I do research, and I do projects for whatever department needs any available body. So I'll do anything from pack boxes to build out and clone systems to whatever the call is. I'm behind on one project, and that'll take care of my weekend. But I get to start Monday fresh with all new fun projects. Okay, Scott's moderating. If you're counting, this is 59 in our series of dramas. Drama. There are some people who will watch this on archive later and say, why does he keep saying drama? What does that mean? Well, I'm Dave Rush, and this is an Ask Me Anything. Put them together, you get drama and Scott, because Scott's occasionally on camera. We're getting close to completion on the book, and I know that will open up his opportunities to join cam with me. And I don't know if you saw Mike's Wednesday show. Mike Myers does an AMA on Monday and Wednesday at 2:00 at the same very channel, and sometimes joined by Scott, especially when Scott is over there and they're working together on book content. Absolutely the best show the two of them have ever done together since we started doing AMAs. They do other things very well together, but wow, I was so enjoying the show that I was having a tough time doing the jobs that I'm supposed to do, watching the show, archiving them and cataloging them and indexing them and doing research. But man, what an enjoyable show. If you didn't see that, first of all, Mike had a nice little feature in there. If you are the introverted type, how do you meet people and network people? Because that's part of the ways of growing in this industry, right? You got to meet people, you got to know people, you got to advertise yourself in person when that opportunity presents itself. So Mike did a great presentation on that, and otherwise just a good 2 hours worth of Q&A. And I think we only did one contest, so there wasn't many time filling in there. All right. Reading my notes. I had a meeting yesterday. I had two meetings yesterday. One was scheduled. It's all part of the estate nonsense in court and all that. But I set up another meeting with a gent who watches Mike's shows and watches my show and wanted to learn how to be Dave, how to be Mike. And, of course, we can't do that, but we had a nice chat on Zoom and just offered some tips and had a little practice back and forth. And that was a lot of fun. If you ever want to get together, do something like that, if you just need to Zoom with me or Scott or anybody like that, set it up. This is an AMA. The goal here, of course, is for you to ask me anything or ask Scott anything. But the easiest way to do that is on the live chat. If you're not watching live, if your question is too long, if you're shy and you haven't yet seen Mike's presentation on Wednesday, just 2 days ago, on how to network when shy, there are other ways that you can contact us, and we encourage you to do so. Flip over there. So I and Scott and Mike Myers are all reachable through our various email accounts. You can find me, Dave R, at totalsem.com, because I'm Dave Rush and I work at Total Seminars. You can also contact me by my personal email account, my daily driver, drushtx at Yahoo. Likewise for Scott, he's Scott Jernigan. He works at Total Seminars. So Scott J at Total Seminar. And Mike Myers, affectionately known in circles as Michael Myers, works at Total Seminar. So Michael M at Total Seminar will get you there. We're on LinkedIn. We're in all kinds of other venues. We all steam. I'm Blood Rush TX when I steam. Scott is Scarheart. Mike Myers is Senor Pepe when he Mike Myers. And hey, I'm looking to expand my LinkedIn roles. So if you're watching this and you haven't linked up with me, please do. And basically it's because when we have a special show coming up, we're like when we had Evan Upton, when we did our anniversary show, we do some really cool projects. I post out an announcement on that. All right, wait, I got to look at that. Rather that. Yeah, I know. I just say totalsem.com. Okay. I think I think you're going to change that to then, and that will fix that. At any rate, I had a total. Oh yeah, so we were going to get in contact with me. We did that, so please do. There we go. Okay, I misspoke. Okay, so it is TotalSem. If I said totalseminars.com, it's not. It's totalsem.com. Thank you, Scott. Oh, let's see. So we're taking questions on anything. We got a project today. We're going to finish up the project from last Friday and then expand on it a little bit today. We're playing with email servers and email. And let's do one other administrative thing, and then we'll see who's here and got questions and things like that. We got, Scott, if you would put up the special for this week, if you would post it. We've got specials this week, AMA weekly specials. There's a slide for it, and I can show you while Scott posts. Share, there we go. So we've been really excited about these bundles, and that's why we kind of had similar bundles week to week for the last couple of weeks. That'll change probably in reasonably short order, but that we could put so many of these together and offer them. And we only offer them to the folks who watch this show. This isn't advertised anywhere else, just Mike's show and my show. So 50% off bundles that are made up of an ebook and Total Tester, our practice test engine and questions, where the ebook and the Total Tester match. So we've got matching bundles for A+, for Network Plus, Security Plus, Cyber Security Analyst, Penetration Testing, AWS Systems, Architect Systems. So yeah, I had it right for 2 weeks in a row and then it dropped. Systems, Analyst, Architecturist, Analyst. It's that AWS SAA thing. We got bundles for it. And they're 50% off of the pair. So basically it's kind of a buy one, get one free the way I looked at the pricing. The code to check out, you go to totalsem.com, you load up with your bundles and any other loot that you want, and then put this code in when you check out. It's 09/13/21. That was the date on Monday, September 13th of 21. And that will apply the discount to any of these bundles that you have put in the package. And if you're a teacher, if you know a teacher who is teaching tech classes, computer classes, things like that, anything that sort of fits into our bailiwick, have them contact Kathy Y at totalsem.com. She has got the barn door open and ready and willing to help with swag that's even a better deal, an unbelievable deal than what we're looking at here, right? Good. All right, who's here? Ooh, Tulwood got in first, as almost always. Though there was a contest for a while between him and Alan, a couple of the other guys, a couple of the other women. Andrew Hutz is here, a full participant in Discord and in all the AMAs. And oh yeah, he works for Total Seminars now too. Scott's here. Alan Duggan is here. Greetings, mon ami. Are you AVI nut or Avinut? AVI nut. 3 syllables, or I guess Avinut is 3 syllables too. Doesn't matter. But welcome. So I don't know if that's aviation nut. I also am an aviation nut if you are. And otherwise, I think you could just be a nut about AVI moving video files. Hey, greetings, Avocado. Nice to see you, sir. That's you. You're part of everyone. And Scott. Avocado. Okay, we're doing grins. We're doing emojis. Somebody sent me a link this week. I think it was Michael Smyer of Total Seminars about the latest round of approved emojis that are up and coming. There is a body, a standards body that approves emojis. I always thought that was kind of something that Android did and tablet makers did specifically for their devices, and phone makers and things like that. But no, there is a body who blesses emojis and who therefore declines emojis. So this group has added a whole bunch of new ones, and they're okay. And they are also the same body who blessed the poop emoji. So there's something wrong with that. Salam Tikvas's talk. I used to live in Saudi. I know all the greetings. Patricia is here. I don't get bored. Time is valuable, and I hate unnecessary changes. Makes it harder to find things. Oh my, I'm becoming a curmudgeon. Get off my lawn. I want to hear that in the Patricia Grace voice. You have a nice voice. Today, Compactify, yes, is born. Compactify, you missed the T. Oh, no, it's there. Bad side on mine. Tintin Tran, Binim Chat. I don't know what that means, but welcome to the chat. Sorry, every now and again. Oh, now that one I know. Vobistu, I'm right here, man. Because my last name is Rush. So I studied French in high school. I took a little more in college, but I took German in college, which has actually kind of worked out. I get to use it now and again. The gent I met with yesterday, good English, but native French speaker. And I didn't need any French to communicate with them, but it is nice. I haven't been in any place that speaks French in some years right now. So it's nice to practice your language skills that get rusty without use. Hey, first real question, Mr. S. Is there a Linux command to find all persons connected to your network? Yes. I don't remember what it is. It's a who command. I'm going to take 15 seconds and look that up because I like that one and I've done it before. Who? Oops, I got a finger out of position. And the answer is, how to see logged in users is multi-user, checking logged in users is useful. I'd like, I was looking at recipes this week at some point, and every recipe that every goober posts starts with their life story. I grew up in southern Mississippi and we never had penguin pie before. Well, I found this, and it just goes on and on and on. The W command. Yeah, I learned that one about a year and a half ago. Just type in the word, the letter W, and it's like who's here. There's also the who command. They are closely related. One gives you a little more detail than the other. There's some more, but those are the ones. Users is there. And if you install the finger command, sudo apt install finger, you can use the finger command. So W, who, users, and finger, the four biggies. I hope that's helpful. Hey, you know what? You say something like that. Well, this will be kind of ridiculous, won't it? Because I don't have anybody but me logged in, but let's do it. Let me grab onto a server here real quick. Let's use the one that let's use this one. Logging in. Oops. RASPBERRY. And we're in, and so we share. And now you're looking at what I'm looking at. So we could have puttied in here or used SSH to get in. So just the W command. Okay, we see Pi logged in twice. Once. Oh gosh, I've got putty running from a connection here earlier. All right. I forgot to close that up. All right, so W, now let's compare that with who. So a lot less detail with who's in, when they got in, and how they're in. So this TTI1, that's me directly connected here on the screen and keyboard. This TTY7, that's a connection through a serial connection or an over the network connection with SSH. Users, just a list. And I don't think I have finger in here. How fast? That's a quick load. Sudo apt install finger. Yeah. Come on, it's just one utility. And we're done. Finger. Syntax. Really? Whack whack help is invalid. Fine. All right, pretty similar to W. Kind of a cross between W and who. All right, good question. Okay, thank you, Scott. So Andrew at 210, I super scrolled, but I said it, that helped. Glad you mentioned the LinkedIn thing. I saw yesterday that you endorsed me. I'll go ahead and take care of that after AMA. Okay. Avocado, I saw in a video description that you were installing an email server, and I realized I have no idea how they work. I assume my email client on PC sends my email via SMTP to the server. Exactly right. And I got a message that said, oh, you got to follow up there, but what happens next? How does the email server know where to send the email to next? Okay. And I understand that Tulowit, yeah, posted emails, a data packet, just like any other stuff that gets sent and received by your computer. True enough. But let's dive just a little bit deeper into that. So you're going to send an email to me, to drushtx@yahoo.com. You're logged into some email server. You create the email. Hey, Dave, how's it going? You give it an address, drushtx@yahoo.com. And you hit the send button, and your email client or your web client, whatever you're using, sends that to SMTP. Now, SMTP has to get that thing forwarded to some mail server that I check into to get, right? So first thing he does is he looks at the destination address to find yahoo.com. And then he's going to do a domain name system, DNS lookup, for yahoo.com that's a mail server, okay? Because there's going to be a yahoo.com that's a search engine, and one that's a basic website, and one that's a secure website, but there's going to be one that's a mail server because they set it up that way. And once he finds that, then he's going to send it to the IP address there and inbound, so to either port any of the four major ports, either a POP port, no, nobody uses POP anymore, so not POP and not even POP secure. He's going to send it to the IMAP port or the secure IMAP port at that IP address, and then it's just going to sit in there until Dave logs in and checks his email and pops it off the IMAP stack. So that's something we ought to do. I mean, that's really more appropriate for a mic presentation, but I will toss that idea to him and see if he will do how email servers fully work. If he doesn't have the time or the inclination, then I'll do a presentation on that. So how email works. Good question. Another good one. Thanks. Scott retracted his message, and then he posted the specials this week at 2:12. Thank you. Pronounced AV nut. Nuts about things avian. Okay. Not aviation, but of the bird variety. Coolness. Yeah, okay. For a minute, I was going to play with the word apian, but that's bees. Your email provider has a server to receive the stuff. Yep. Jason Helms, greetings, my friend. And okay, so, and Tullwood continues to flesh that out. Very good. Thank you, sir. I didn't know where to send that email. Right, with DNS, exactly right. How was the cookout the other day? Oh, that was, yeah, Tullwood did some cooking for his church. Oh, you guys have got a good, thorough conversation going there. Well done. Right. IP addresses and ports. So we need to, and that's one of the reasons that you don't have to know ports anymore unless you are digging deeply into it, right? You got to know it for CompTIA test, and you got to know it if you're going to sit here and spout off that IMAP uses 143 and SMTP uses 25, just for the ability to spout off and sound smart. But what it really means is knowing this stuff and understanding it helps you configure quickly things like email servers and clients. And what if you have to change something? What if I have two different email servers running on the same computer? I could do that. And there's 14 different ways to do it. And one of the ways is to set them each up with different port numbers than their stock ports. Now it introduces some complexities and challenges, but yeah, you got to know the ports, or the mail servers know the ports. And then all they have to do is use DNS to find the IP addresses of destinations and sources. So packets go to SMT, POP, IMAP ports, right? So yes, and DNS will know the IP address for the part after the egg. Exactly right. That's exactly right. Avocado at 220. Yep. Yeah, Tullwood totally nailed it. Excellent explanation. And here come the emojis. 223, Jason, I need to get more people to endorse my LinkedIn as well. So everybody, if you see somebody on here, here's the way to do this. Let's do this. I mean, let's help each other out on the Discord server, because we got 400 people on that Discord server looking for help and looking to provide help. And this is something we can all do for each other. If you've got a LinkedIn account, it will help you in many ways. Findability, and some people job hunt, endorsements help in job hunts, and people are looking to connect with people based on their skill sets and things like that. So if you've got a LinkedIn command, one more time, account, then you can do that for others and they can do that for you. And the way we can do this easily is if you will join us on the Discord server. Discord server, you say, Dave? What Discord server is that? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Discord server, Citadel, where the heck is the Discord invite? Scott, if you would post the Discord server invite. Weekly specials, there it is. Okay, there's my Discord slide. So there is an unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel. We didn't set it up. We don't operate it. We participate in it just like everybody else. It was set up by our friend Jose Braden. And you can use any of the links that I've got on my screen here, or the one that Scott just posted now. It's 28 minutes past the hour. So at time 28, you can hit one of those links and go over there. Now, if the link that it takes you to says expired, don't give up. Just stay on that page. There is something on that page somewhere that says, click this to continue or whatever, and you will join us on our LinkedIn server. I'm going to take this off. If you're watching this on the archive, or even if you're watching it live, you can just do a pause here and type in the value here. Remember, these are case sensitive. They change about once a week. All right, it's coming offline. And so there's over 400 people on that Discord server. And it was set up originally just to talk about Mike's show after the show, or sometime during the week. and then it expanded massively into all kinds of support and contact and memes and Kali Linux and Raspberry Pis and Linux in general, and help me fix my computer and whatever. So lots and lots of good folks over there. So you can meet folks over there, post a message in general that says, hey, here's my LinkedIn link. Please endorse me for, and then do the same thing for others, and they will appreciate it. It's very useful. Reading questions. Oops, I super scrolled, of course. It was just about due to. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Good thought, Tulowit. Tulowit says to everybody that if you don't know the IP address of a destination, but you know its domain name, you can ping it. Just open up a command line utility, ping google.com, and by default, it will come back as an IP address number. You can also use, for a little more information, NS lookup, one word, and get that same and more information. There we go. Yeah, so you got to make connections with each other, and then you can endorse each other. People do still use POP. Why you hating? Who do you know, Patricia, that still uses POP outside of a lab or a demonstration environment? I haven't seen a POP server in years. I'll drink POP because I'm from the Midwest. I smile at myself when I look over there. That's where my mirror image is. I should be looking up there and smiling at you, huh? Andrew Hutch just sent you a request. Look at that. We are making headway all over the place. So Avnut. Years ago, I played a prank on my nephew. Yeah, the cops asked me about that. By routing my messages through an insecure POP3 server to make it look like I was someone else. I guess this is how spoofing works. Not exactly, but sure, that's a form of spoof. Why not? According to our Steam tech editor, no one should use POP anymore. Okay, so certainly I should there. I totally agree with that. And Patricia's probably right. There's probably a number of POP servers out there for a variety of reasons, that mostly that aren't defensible, I got to believe. But you know, if I were going to set up something as something just so people could play with it and learn about POP servers and follow the a Wireshark on it or a TCP dump, okay, that's one thing. But using it in an everyday purpose just makes no sense. Remember, the problem with POP servers is when the message is read off of the POP server, read out of it, it disappears. Also, POP servers have no organizational structure, no folders. So you got to download it and save it immediately or it's lost. IMAP retains copies until you manually delete them. Andrew's updating his skills and technologies. Okay, David Rush, Dolowit. Cooking went well. Homemade tomato sauce. Love homemade tomato sauce. Spaghetti and garlic bread for a big group. Made way too much. You can't make way too much because the stuff doesn't go bad. I like to smoke mine. I like to smoke my spaghetti, and I don't like to cook it in water first. I just take the hard dried spaghetti, put it on the grill in the smoker, on the grates in the smoker, and then just smoke it. It's magnificent. You buying that? Okay, Scott posted the Discord link at 2:28 local time. Thank you, Scott. I really need to update my LinkedIn. Yeah, I noticed that, Tulowit. So I endorsed a number of your culinary skills, and I should have mentioned this at the time. I need to get your tech skills up there so we can endorse them. Tanku. Right now, LinkedIn is looking at this saying, these guys are just endorsing each other. It's an endorsement party. It doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. Scott. Hi, say my name, please. Sam Opp. Sam Opp, I'm Dave Rush at Total Seminars. How you doing, guy? I'm going to assume Sam is a guy name, but I shouldn't assume gender. It's 21st century and it's 2021. You could be anything, but I'm still betting Sam is short for Samuel and not Samantha. And is that getting me caught up here? Pop. Thank you for catching my Midwestern reference. Well, that was tough. When I moved down here, it started in the Midwest, and then we moved to Jersey for 4 years, and we moved to LA, and then we moved here. And nobody outside Michigan, Ohio, and the bordering states of those calls soda or carbonated soft drinks pop. So, we'd moved. You guys have pop here? No, what the hell is pop? I said, now I got to edit my own video tomorrow. Okay, caught up. Dave, I added some things to mine. Would you revisit? I certainly would. You have my address. You know where to send the check. Okay, caught up on questions. Let's go see what's in the notes. Did that. We set up a Citadel email server the other day on a Raspberry Pi. It is not limited to Raspberry Pi. It's very flexible. It's available for most Linux distros. We're also going to set up another utility today. We're going to set up an email client that works fine on Raspberry Pi. It'll also work fine on any other distro. Last week and this week. Last week, we installed and pre-configured. It's not something that you can avoid, a Citadel email server. So once the installation is done, then it asks you a bunch of configuration questions as part of the installation. And we answer them. Things like, what do you want the administrative account name to be? And some things like that. And so that part of it's done. It's sitting there and it's running, except it needs a little bit more configuration to make it useful. So that's what we're doing today. So last week we set up a server. Today we're going to finish configuring the email server, and then we're going to do a real quick install of an email client. And as I was practicing with the email server this week, another head slapper. We talked a couple weeks ago about different kinds of email servers, and there's a couple categories of them. There's the ones that are traditional email servers, and then that you have to access with a client. And then there are email servers that run with a web interface like Yahoo Mail and Hotmail and AOL and all that good stuff. And so it's two different approaches. Oh no, turns out Citadel does both at the same time. And that's going to save me a ton. That saves me a drama episode. I don't have to do an installation of a web-based email server. It's done. So we're going to finish email today and move on to new topics next week. I'm excited about that. The client that we're going to install today is Thunderbird. Popular clients include Claws, Thunderbird, Outlook, and IceDove. They all do much of the same thing. So we'll look at Thunderbird. We like Thunderbird in part because it's totally open source. So I'll get into that in a little bit. Let's see. Oh yeah, we also like both the Citadel server and Thunderbird because we can get into the depths of it. And if you're interested in the nitty gritty ports and protocols and things like that. We're going to finish up with a tutorial that we started for the Citadel server last week. I'm going to put the link up for that tutorial this week, right now. See, finish up at 2:32. Okay, so just posted it at 2:38. And that'll give you a little bit of the last bits. But remember, I've got the full step-by-step of everything, plus the stuff that I add and fix and so forth, available at the pirsquare.zapto.org server. If you head over there, you'll be able to get my download archives, including my notes and my outlines and everything that I do. Tricks and traps. I always call that tricks. It's tricks and techniques of the week. Nothing special popped this week. I saw one or two interesting articles that I might pursue, but not enough to share with you. So the only thing that I'm going to share with you under tricks and techniques is an acquisition that I got the other day. The missus and I were out flea marketing. We flea market basically because we like to walk. And I ran across this on a table. Now, it seems pretty obvious what this is, right? It's a USB hub. Seems to be USB 3 because it's got blue USB ports in it. And that's got a blue connector. So, okay, USB. But that's not why I got it. I got it for two reasons. One, asked the gent how much he wanted, and he said a buck. And I said, it doesn't work. It's worth a buck. But it has one other amazing little feature that I've never seen. How about that? An on-off switch for a hub. Now, for the life of me, I can't think of a use that I would have for such a thing. But it works. I've tested it, enjoyed it. And I suppose if I had some power-hungry devices here that, well, okay, here, let's come up with a scenario. Some computers, after you turn them off, run shutdown, at least on Windows machines, depending on how you configure them, the USB ports will still provide power. So maybe I don't want that. Now, that means I could go into the settings, go into device manager and disable that. I could potentially go into the CMOS settings and disable that. But what if I change my mind? Oh, wait a minute, I do want power for the next week. So that's where something like this comes in real handy. I just walk over to the machine and I don't want power on those devices when the machine is shut down. Click, it's off. That would be off. And oh, wait a minute, I need those things on now. And so, yeah, that's an arguable thing. So that's it for interesting, cool things for the week. We did the Discord server. Andrew, let me know if you've got anything new in the last week on your WordPress site or your TGA sec. And if so, and let me know just before any of the shows that we do on Friday, if you kick me off a message on the back channel, hey, I did an update to the thing, then I'll plug you. I'll plug him today anyways, just for hoots. Andrew Hutz, who is here, also writes a security-oriented blog and invites you all to read it. He's a good writer. He's an interesting writer. And he maintains this blog. I just posted at the current time, 42 minutes past the hour. And enjoy that. Be a good place for you to put your LinkedIn link, Andrew, and then people can catch it there anytime and click on there and go endorse you. Reading questions. No, wait a minute, I'm finishing here. This week's project. Okay, so when we get into notes again, we get back into this week's project. So let me catch up on questions and then we'll get started. Andrew bleeping at time mark 2:35. Okay. Scott Jernigan, the secret to learning to cook is to find something you want to make and keep making the same thing until you've mastered. You know, Tullowit, Scott says he wants to be a good cook, and he does. But Scott is not a foodie, long and short of it. So for a variety of reasons. So you're kind of like asking a guy with no taste buds to or teaching a guy with no taste buds how to be a good cook. I respect Scott. He has so many skills and so many wonderful things that he can do and that he does do. And he's a wonderful man and a giving person. But when it comes to food, it's kind of like pop culture. He's really out of the conversation. Yes, blue for the extra speed. It's a Doppler shift thing coming at us. Reading question. Scott, I have a limited repertoire by doing that technique. Family is overfried spam. I haven't made spam in so long. And I thought about it a couple months ago and it had dropped off my mind. And now I've changed my mind. I am going to, excuse me, pick up spam. Yeah, I can do that. I think I mentioned this the other day. Maybe I didn't. So I lost a whole bunch of pounds during lockdown, and then I plateaued. And I've been working out fairly diligently, but I just haven't shaken this plateau, and I know why. It's because I have never been, at least since college, a good eater. So I started on Monday, good eating, and fingers crossed. The target is shake 50 pounds in the next 6 months, and food is going to be boring, but I think spam is going to be allowed in my list. Yeah, good flea market. Wish we had one nearby. There's no good flea markets in North Florida? Huh. Andrew, I haven't been super swamped. Okay, he hasn't done anything lately. He's been swamped with school and work here, and I know you got some other projects ongoing. Okay. Another question from Avocado. Have you seen a company fully use Chromebooks, Chrome Enterprise, and G Suite? I have not, excuse me, but that doesn't mean anything. My fingers don't delve deeply into corporate pies widespread. Friends that I know who work in big companies, AT&T and some other companies that you would know, I don't see any penetration there, but there's probably a notable number of mid-size and small companies that do live on the whole Google suite of products. But frankly, I don't see much press about it. Companies are still making Chromebooks, so they're not making them because they have no market. Now, that said, there is a large market for schools, especially grade schools, elementary schools, and middle schools. You don't see Chromebooks much at the high school level that, in my personal experience. So, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, no, there is not a large corporate installation base for the Chrome products. I'm sure there is some. I think it probably qualifies as niche, but I can't speak authoritatively to that. Maybe somebody else here can. Spam is a staple of food here, right? I was told a few years ago that it achieved delicacy status in some Asian countries. You give it as wedding gifts. All right, look, I got your endorsement. Okay, Patricia Grace. Well, there are flea markets, but not what I'd call good. Okay, Central Florida has a good one. We went to one a couple of weeks ago. It bills itself as the largest flea market. I think they call themselves in the world, but if not in America. It's about a 3.5-hour drive from here. I've been hearing about it ever since we've lived in Texas, 30 plus years now. Yeah. And so, okay, well, now it's time to go up. And it's gigantic. And it was roasting. And we probably got through about a quarter of it before heat exhaustion set in and we bailed out. So we'll try again in late fall. It's only open one weekend per month, and it's just gigantic. And I don't understand if it's organized or if it's, the corn roasting place is next to the antique wagon wheel place, or if they organize antiques or whatever, but it's just gigantic. We did find one building, most of it's outdoors, much of it is outdoors, that was air conditioned, and that kind of helped us survive the last stand, the last hour or so of hunting. All right, I didn't think of schools. They would be pretty good for younger children. Right, okay, good. All right, well, that gets us caught up on questions at 2:48. It's a good time to do that. So let's get into the project. The projects are going to be very quick today, so we're going to have time to get back into questions. And if questions dry up a little early, I hate quitting early because I love doing this, but if that's what it happens, then that's what happens. So queue up questions while we're doing presentations if you like. This week's project, there are two. We complete the Citadel email server installation, and then we'll install an email client. And I'm going to just dive right into it because it's pretty simple and straightforward. And let me go to my notes here and see. Oh yeah, I do have something in my notes that I want to talk about. So after you've completed your install on the Pi, you've done this all with command line, and it was all done with a wget command. And then we execute the wget script, or the thing that wget pulls down, and it goes buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. And it was what, about 10, 15 minutes, something like that, for the install to finish installation and then get into the Q&A. It took a few minutes to answer the questions, and then it was done. And it just sits there with a prompt. Dashboard, this is a browser. Okay, so while you're there, you can finish the installation on the same computer by launching a browser on that same Linux box, Raspberry Pi box, and just browse to 127.0.0.1, so the loopback address. Or you can go to another machine and use a browser on the other machine. And you've got to know either the name of your Raspberry Pi, and it's got to register with your local network. So most people who have Soho routers have a network called .local. So if you named yours like I named mine, I think I called mine Email Pi, then there's a local domain that's managed by my Soho router that would turn that thing into emailpi.local. So you could try and browse to that from your browser. If not, just know the IP address of your server and open up a browser tab on another computer and put in that IP address. So that's what I'm gonna does here. Let me get a tab open that you can see. Let's go back on here. It's a fresh tab and share it. There we go, fresh tab. Now we share. Oh, I got to tell you something interesting and amazing. It's quasi-related. So I'm dealing with my father's estate. I have his computer here. It's been very useful. He's one of the guys who saves his passwords. He uses his the Chrome browser, and every place he goes, do you want to save password? Yes. And that all saves to a location that is exportable. And that's been a real lifesaver for me in getting to places that need to be administered and so forth. So that was cool, but not where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this is he had about a half a dozen email accounts. Some of them were web-based, like Gmail. But I also noticed down in his taskbar that he had Thunderbird. Now, Dad passed at 82 years old. He was a smart guy. He wasn't a well-educated guy. I didn't go to college, but smart. Oh my gosh, the man was smart and not afraid of technology. So I was really stunned looking at his taskbar to see Thunderbird in there, the email client. And with that, I was able to get to a number of his other email services. I thought that was just cooler than all get out. So that was one thing. And then I noticed that while his primary browser was Chrome, he also had Brave installed, and it had history in there. And I got to believe we weren't particularly close. We didn't see each other often. And I don't recall ever talking tech with him, not much anyways. But I got to believe that he watched the shows and watched me selling Brave because I love it. And he installed Brave, and that was pretty cool. Okay, I'm sharing this. So what I'm going to do is I know the IP address of my server. It is 192.168.1.105. Just for hoots, I didn't test this, but we'll try it. How about emailpi.local? Maybe I have tested it because I got that in there. Buzz, buzz, grind, grind. There it comes. Okay, so this is the final configuration step. And what I'm going to do here is just give you a little tour of a couple of things here. You could use credentials from any of these places to log in, as long as they match, of course, what you have set up to be an administrator or a user of this. So the tutorial that we use said the default administrator name is admin, and the default password is Citadel. Now, I put in Citadel, Citidel, and it says that's wrong. And I went through the tutorial and discovered that Citadel is spelled differently in different places. Sometimes it's CITI and sometimes it's CITA. So when we talked last week, I walked away thinking it was CITI, and in some places apparently it is, but the password here is CITADEL. Log in. Ask me if I want to save this. No, because this server is going to go away. I just heard wonkage. I think somebody, now come on. There we go. Okay, so I'm logged in as an admin, and you can see over here that there's a mail page on here. There's a calendar page. There's contacts. There's rooms. I can see who's online. I can chat with them. So this is a very, very full-featured server. To call it an email server is probably not fair because it has so many additional cool features. Well, we're administrators, and so that's what I want to see here. So hit the administration, and here's where I can make, manage, or delete user accounts. And you may have noticed that I had the ability to log in with a new user account. That's a feature that you would enable in here to allow people to come to this server. You have to make it accessible from the outside world, or I guess you could just make an internal only email server and let them make their own email accounts, just like you would do if you were going to sign up for Yahoo. What do you want your email name to be? Freddie G. Okay, you're Freddie G at yahoo.com. You get the idea. I can validate new users, mess around with rooms and floors. Those are like chat rooms and floors. But here's the one that I want you to see. All this stuff you can experiment with and view at your leisure. So we're going to go to Edit Site-Wide Configuration. And we got a bunch of tabs across the top. We can do a lot of namings of things here in settings. So here's where we set listening IP addresses. Can set up Jabber clients and Jabber servers. Not diving into any of that stuff here. I'm doing email today, so we care about SMTP, IMAP, and POP3. So here is what I expect to see. An SMTP stock port is 25. Now, if I want to disable SMTP unsecure on here, I've changed this value to -1. And look at this, SMTP MSA, that's SSL, or more accurately TLS today. We can do 587 and 465. So they call this SSL. We don't use, SSL is a dying phrase. We use TLS now. But so look at the implications here. I can do secure sends to this Citadel email server, or I could do traditional unsecure, or I can enable or disable either of them. Not diving through the rest of this stuff. It's all pretty self-explanatory and it's well documented if that's not to you. Same stuff over here on IMAP. So I can do non-secure old school IMAP on port 143. I can do secure IMAP, TLS/SSL on port 993. That's the stock secure port for IMAP. And they even have a secure port for POP 995, and they have the old school port 110. So there's not much reason to change this stuff. One reason would be pranking. And then you got to know the ports to go back in and deal with that stuff. So that's the additional configuration for the most part that anybody has to worry about. Now, I mentioned earlier, let me log out of here, that this server will work with a traditional client. And that's why we're going to set up a traditional client. But if I don't use the account name that I set up for admin, I can create a new user and register now. And that's one of the things that you can set up in the global settings. You could prevent this. You can make this menu option not appear. But if you just make a regular Joe Schmo email user Fred's email at emailpie.local. Then he can use that and log in here, use the password. And now he's got a web-based email server, just like you would use any other web-based server. So thinking that's some pretty cool stuff. All right, that completes the Citadel installation. This is very, very easy to use. It's very easy to manage. And if you want to experiment with an email server, I really encourage you. This is a much better email server than I planned on when I first decided to go with it. All right. Now I got to do a refresh over here. Scoozy. Yeah. Because I'm looking at my feedback screen here on YouTube and it's still showing 45 seconds ago. So let me refresh that page. Nothing bad will happen. I won't lose the world. Oh, but I am learning something. Brave does something weird. I'm not happy about it. I've written to them and I'm not getting any satisfaction. I'm not the only one who has this problem. A recent upgrade about a month ago, 5 weeks ago, something like that, caused the chat screen to only appear down below the stream. And that's a real royal pain for me. Oh, that's good. Okay. Oh, nope, here it comes. Okay, I got to break this out and then close it. Okay, now we're. Now it's going to come back. I know it is. All right, I don't care. Okay, that's the way to fix it. So we do this, pop out, go to this one, close it, move this over here. You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out. Okay, so Citadel is the real deal. There's a ton of additional configuration stuff in there. I'm not diving into all that. It's not a Citadel course. But again, my big hook on this thing that's making me very happy, excuse me, is that you can do web-based access or you can do traditional client access. And I love that. And again, that gives us the ability to not have to do a third show on today. Speaking of traditional email clients, there's a lot of them out there. Claws, Outlook, Thunderbird, IceDove. IceDove, yeah, I got to tell you about IceDove. And I'm going to mention IceWeasel while I'm at it. So there is Mozilla, right? Mozilla makes Firefox, Mozilla makes Thunderbird. And there was a group who said, we have problems with that. It's open source and it's good, but there's some issue that they had with it that they weren't customizing it enough for this group to make them happy. So it would work fine on I don't know, a GNOME desktop, but not on a KDE desktop. I don't know if that's the case, but there were some desktops that it didn't work on. So they started taking the original Mozilla code and created, let's not call them competitive products, but alternative products, right? So they created, instead of Firefox, they made IceWeasel, right? Opposites, weasels and foxes. And so same thing with Thunderbird. Thunder doesn't quite opposite of ice, but since they had an ice product line going, it looks like they kept the name. And then it's not a Thunderbird, it's Dove. So they had IceDove. They're alternative email client. I'm not messing with that. I'm messing with Thunderbird today because it's fun, it's popular, it's very multi-protocol. But here's why I mentioned that. As I was looking for tutorials, and you really don't need a tutorial for this, it's 3.5 steps. And 2 of them you always do anyways. I ran across some of their tutorials and they said, Thunderbird doesn't work on this. And IceWeasel and IceDove aren't in many repositories. So you got to curl it or wget it. And that's got to be crazy. That's got to be nuts, especially for a platform as popular as Raspberry and the other popular VMs. So I just said, I'm going to take a whack at this and try and install Thunderbird from the repository. and it installed like a dream. Takes 2 minutes. It's a long install. We're long. 2 minutes is long, but we're going to do that. Sorry, I'm super scrolling while I got here, and just want to get marked again where I was. Close enough. So let's get connected to a server. You can do this on the same server as your email server. I'm going to do it on a different one just because we can do it on a different one. Now you can install it on Windows as well. It's as simple as the usual install for Windows. You know, how boring is that? You go to the download site, you click download, you click the thing you downloaded, and it installs. So we're here to have a little fun, right? Let's do it on this one. Pi Web Control. Yeah. So I installed it on this one the other day, and then I uninstalled it. Sometimes that causes issues. We'll see if that happens today. Let's share with you because we like you. Okay, you're here, I'm here. I did today a sudo apt update, which you should always do before installing any new package. And you should also do an upgrade. You can do that on a separate line, or you can do it the way we've always learned it here. Ampersand, ampersand means then, if it was successful, do this, sudo apt, and I like to pre-feed it the yes, I would like to do this, upgrade. I'm not going to do this now. It'll take a few minutes, not long, but. And so that's our first two steps, sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade. Okay, I think that's officially one step the way I have it documented in the notes that you're going to read. What in the heck? Oh, okay, move. There we go. Yes, in fact, all you have to do is the update. You don't have to do upgrade for this, but you usually should. All right, now we're going to do the 2-minute install here. And while this is installing, I'll read questions and I'll leave this up. So sudo apt. And remember, if you're taking CompTIA tests, they're always going to want you to use apt-get. They're a little behind the times. And there's reasons to use apt and there's reason to use apt-get, but the only one that CompTIA knows about is apt-get. We're going to do sudo apt install. Well, here, tell you what, before we do that, how about sudo, let's see if Thunderbird is in the repository. Sudo apt search for Thunderbird. And so this is going to reach out to all the repositories, basically one on this computer, that this computer knows about, and look through all the installable packages that are there, and then it will list them in alphabetical order. A really useful command. So it's alphabetical. You can see a whole bunch of Thunderbird stuff here. These are all languages, plugins, Korean and Kabyle and Italian and Japanese. Oh, I wish Alice were here. We could do it in Italian. Oops. And there it is, Thunderbird. It's old, it's stable, been around for a long time, so good news. So let's do a clear on here, and then let's install it. Sudo apt install Thunderbird. All right, mark time. I got 25 seconds past the minute. Oh, do you want to continue? Yes, I do. All right, I'll leave that up and running, and I'll go read questions while that's happening, and I'll keep a half an eye of what's going on here. Yeah, questions. I haven't been. Yeah, I went a little far behind. I like California for flea markets. When we lived out there, there are lots of drive-in movie theaters still in California, and they hold flea markets in the parking lots of those. Of course, lots of other places too, but that was kind of cool. I am terrified. I see a message to me from Tullowit. He's addressing me specific. This is going to be scary or really insightful. Let me see. Just before I get there, am I missing anything here? Got all years, avocado. I didn't think of schools. Okay, so here we are. Tullowit. Is Thunderbird tough enough? It's tough enough because Thunderbird is a fabulous program. 8 of us got that. Algerie, nice to see you. Just poking in and observing you on Friday. You're here. Of course, we're gentle with you. All right, the install completed. It started at 8:25. It's about a minute and a half of the install. So I'm going to leave messages where they are. And that part's done, right? So all we got to do now, I could close this. Yeah, I'll close it. I got no reason to leave it open right now. And now it appears in the Raspberry apps icon, internet. Claus was previously installed in here, but there's Thunderbird. It's never been run before. Can read and write mail with Thunderbird. Yeah, it comes up slow the first time. I learned that. Oh, I'm excited about this. Writing up a how email works tutorial. Scott's going to give me a whole new project next week that's going to kill mass. Gee, mini Christmas takes longer to launch than it does to load, huh? To install. The first time I did this the other day, I thought it was hung here. I was starting to break into the terminal and run htop and see if the installation was going. And just about the time I hit the htop command, boink, it popped up. So it's a big program and it's got to do a lot of interaction during its first run. After the first run, it goes by right quick. Should I go see questions while we're waiting for it to come up? Yes, I should. Sorry, I forgot spelling. It's okay. Yeah, I got to use the @ sign. Here it comes, of course, just as I start reading questions. She rides. Yeah, Scott, make sure you check in Algerie. Yeah, Algerie. I think the emphasis is on the last. We do this all the time with your name. I'm so sorry. But that's still dragging up. Yay, it turns up. Okay. So if we click into here, and there we go. Set up using your existing email address. And so just by poking in here, now we didn't create any user accounts on there, so it's not going to help that I put anything in here. But I'll put in my full name. Maybe I will. And I put in, now this is really cool. You can use this to access any email server out there. I could use this to access my Yahoo server, whatever, but let's say it's going to be Dave at, well, you know what? How about we try this? I'm experimenting here. I don't know if this is going to work. Admin at emailpi.local Citadel. And I don't want it to remember the password for now. And I wonder if I've got to configure, and let's just go for ease right now. Continue. Okay, gives me a choice, and I believe that's because it polls the server and says, do you do IMAP or do you do POP? I do IMAP. Confirming the password. Hey, look at that. And we're legit. We can do a security extension. Okay, fine. And I'll talk about the security aspects on this thing. How about we get a certificate? And I'll explain that in a moment. This is really cool. So it attempts to identify itself with invalid info. Okay. So I should have done the exception here. We'll cancel that. We'll do it again. We'll permanently store this exception. Confirm security exception. Yes. And there it is. So now I can look at the inbox. There's nothing there. We haven't sent any mail. I can look at any messages that I've sent outbox to the SMTP server. So there's nothing really to this. It's a little simpler than setting up Outlook. Outlook's got a lot more goodies. Of course, with a client like this, you can't access all the other cool features like the chat features or whatever. This is an email client, right? However, it has its own chat thing, and it can work with Jitterbox and some of the other chat things on some servers. So it's an interesting animal. But I just wanted to just show the simple stuff, and we could go in here and do more configurations on the account. But it's all the same kind of email client-y stuff that you would expect, printing messages and reading them. And it's got a calendar. I don't know if it's referring to its own. No, this is all, no, it's pulled the email server over there and said, oh, you can do calendar. Cool, I'll add a calendar entry. You can do contacts. Of course I can do contacts. And we can keep local contacts and exciting stuff. Now, can I log out of here, or do I have to? Haven't played with that in a while. That's the calendar. All calendars are currently disabled. Enable an existing calendar or start up a new one. Privacy, back to the inbox. All right, well, we could leave this run all day and it would update mail received and things like that, but you get the idea. So let me kill that. So there's two other things that I want to talk about to close the topic here. And that is, what am I going to do with this? Now, we mentioned this last week. Email servers live in a couple different worlds. There are organizations that have internal email servers, something.local, something.whatever your internal DNS is, and it's exclusive to that. Emails from there can't get to the outside world. They disable forwarding. They disable inbound from any place other than the local addresses. So that's great, especially in a large organization when you want to protect and communicate privately so that stuff doesn't get to the outside world and that bad stuff and viri doesn't come in from the outside world. And then, of course, the other environment is exactly the opposite. I built an email server because I want people to use it. I want them to be able to send emails to each other and to me, and I want to send emails to them. And I don't want to use Yahoo or Gmail or Hotmail or whatever. So now you got a couple other choices. Where are you going to physically locate such a box? You could install this in an AWS instance. Hey, it's already out in the cloud then. You put Citadel up there, you configure it, you give it a name, it gets an IP address, and hey, you're running not a web server, an email server. Downside, it's probably not going to be a free thing. Though if you're not talking about many users, you're not talking about a lot of money because email's, first of all, not a high horsepower thing. And second of all, unless you allow support for gigantic attachments, doesn't take a lot of storage. Most of the AW instances that you and I would play with for a paid installation, a paid instance, is based on data quantity in and data quantity out. And when you look at the numbers, you're talking about 100 gigs in and out costs a couple of cents, a quarter, something like that. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is to do what we've done here. I've got my handy dandy Raspberry Pi running an email server sitting here on my desk, and I want to make that available to the outside world. There's possibility number one. And I sure as heck want to make it secure, possibility number two. So those are the other two things that I want to talk about briefly, and we're not going to do them today. We've done some already. So to make it practical, make it available on the internet. To make it available on the internet, first of all, don't use you could use a DHCP address, but I wouldn't recommend it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. If you have a fixed server, fixed servers deserve static IP addresses. That makes sense, right? And then use a DDNS service. I use no IP to deal with that Zapdos server that you guys all access regularly. So you give it a mail name or a host name, a mail name like MailPie or Email Pie or whatever, and then you can pick from one of their domains. If you use their free service, you can have 3 free DDNS entries, and they give you a short list of domains that you can pick from. You have to, the other downside is you have to re-up your name for each of those monthly. They'll send you an email, hey, it's time to re-up. And when you get that email, you click on the link and they'll spend a half a page saying, wouldn't you like to buy the premium version? You get more choices, you don't have to update every 30 days or you can click the link that says, no, not today. I just want to do my re-up. Click the re-up. Okay, you're re-upped. I'll see you again in 30 days. So very easy to do. So you set up DDNS and then you have to forward the ports, do port forwarding on your Soho router that you're going to use to support email. So if you're doing traditional SMTP 25, SMTP secure, 993, whatever it is, 465, I believe. Same for IMAPs and same for POPs and whichever protocols and ports you're going to support, all those have to be port forwarded. Now, if that's all you do, then you're in for a world of pain because people are going to connect to that, spammers, and are going to connect to it. In fact, that's going to happen really quick, probably within 24 hours when somebody does their nightly port scan, the thousands of people that do port scans of all the IP addresses of all the world. And they say, oh, hey, here's a new site that's got an email server. Then they're going to start hacking you and they're going to make an account and they're going to use your email server as a blast emailer to send out their spam and their viri and their whatever. So bad stuff, right? And that's one of the things that I don't have yet 100% secure in my web server, and that's why I don't run it 24 hours. So you've got to make it, you've got to harden it. And the other thing you want to harden is the secure ports on that. And for that, you need a certificate. Now, there is a built-in basic certificate in the Citadel server. And I thought that Thunderbird was going to grab it when I selected that. Something funky has happened, and it's probably a setting that I missed in the Citadel server to allow it to use its default certificate. But here's the problem with that. Great if you're doing an internal thing and you trust all of your employees, they're not going to do spamming internal and things like that. However, if you were to open this thing up to the outside world, that certificate that's built in there is the same certificate that's built into every other Citadel server. And so all you got to do is download a Citadel server, install one, get a copy of the certificate, and now you are Hackmaster. You can generate your own public and private keys and attack that server. Yeah, there's a typo in my notes. Fixed. So if you want your email protocols to be secure, you'll want to install your own certificate. You can get free certificates from all kinds of places. The big popular one right now is from Let's Encrypt. Go to let'sencrypt.com and they've got an installer over there, which you don't want to use. What you want to do is get the certificate, and then there is a tutorial. I'm not sure if no, I don't think I gave this to Scott to post, so I'm going to post this on the chat feed right now. Here is the Citadel tutorial. It's actually written by Citadel, how to install a traditional certificate in the Citadel email server, and that will provide TLS, SSL security for all of your mail protocols. So I've just posted it at time mark 23 minutes past the second hour of the show. And that's it. So we have created an email server. We've learned how to configure that email server. It was Citadel. That server is really cool. It's traditional, it's web-based. It has all kinds of other features like calendars and chat and like wherever the list is there. It supports all the secure email protocols and ports. It supports all the old legacy ports and protocols. Very, very powerful, huh? What is that? Okay. And then we installed Thunderbird. installs and runs more quicker and more easier on a Windows machine, but hey, this is a Raspberry Pi thing. And you don't, what do you need to know about email for the certifications? Well, for A+, you got to know a good bit. First of all, you got to know the ports and protocols, and you can get the ports and protocols from our Cool Tools location. If you go to totalsem.com, whack Cool Tools, let me put that up here. Yeah, I just put a link up at 25 minutes past the second hour. If you just go to that link, the first link at the top of that page is CompTIA ports and protocols. And that has the list of all the ports and protocols that you have to know for the current version of A+, for the current version of Network Plus, and for the outdated version of Security Plus. Now, just in the last 2 days, Michael and I have updated the content, the source document, to put the new version of Network Plus protocols in there. There's a few more new ones. None of the old ones were taken away. Not 100% too. One was taken away. And then this week, I will put all the new Security Plus protocols in there. Michael will do his magic to them. And by the end of the week, we will have all of the current ports and protocols that you have to know. So you got to know all the stuff for the email ones. You got to know POP and IMAP and SMTP. Thank you. Send mail port 25. And then the other thing that you've got to know is, kind of a basic understanding, but how you would set this up, set up an email client in a tablet or a mobile device. And what they did is create two screens that are each of them are kind of a cross between an Android screen and and thank you, an iOS screen. And then they give you a bunch of criteria. Set up an email client that can access this server, and this will be the account name, and this will be the password, and you're going to use IMAP on this email server, and you're going to use this SMTP. They give you all the information that you need, and then all you got to do is go back and forth between those screens. And one of the things that they don't tell you, but there's a box that you have to fill in, is the port number for the mail protocols that you're going to use. So you got to know all those protocols. And if the instructions tell you to do a secure, do a TLS version of IMAP, then it's 993, or if you're going to use the old school version, it's 143. You get the idea. And so that is part and parcel why we did this. We know these things for memorization, but we've always said the best way to learn this stuff is to use it. So when you go into that edit global settings, and then you go into the various SMTP tabs and POP tabs and whatever, you'll see those ports, you'll be able to manipulate them. And that's the essence of learning: memorization, hands-on experience. And there's about 6 steps above and between, but you get the idea. Okay, so back to questions. Let's see what's popped up in my absence. We're coming up on halfway past the hour. Shiro, okay. See, I did that. I'm passing 257. People checking in with each other. Oh, and I super scroll. There we go. And you shake it out about. Thank you, Jason. All right, Pete. Oh, today? Did Clive die today? Sorry, got to look at that. Got to check here. And then we'll fill everybody in on who Clive Sinclair is. Come on, you're going to take me to an obituary page. Dies at age 81. 2-hour-old news. Okay, he died today. So Sir Sinclair created the Sinclair Z80 Z. I don't remember the number of that one, but it was a tiny little handheld computer, about yay big. And he was British, not surprisingly. And they were part and parcel of the people who were creating alternative computers to the new personal computers that were coming out in the late 70s and early 80s. So we had stuff coming out from Texas Instruments and Radio Shack and Commodore and Atari and things like that. They were all console-sized computers. And Sir Sinclair created this handheld thing. It had a tiny little LED screen in it. It's kind of an LCD screen. And it was programmable, and it was kind of, thank you, the ZX80. I was going to go with 88 or something like that. So it had an 8080 processor in there. So it was better than the programmable calculators were coming out. There were programmable calculators that even had text input, and you can do variables with names and things like that. But, and much of what he developed was extended and expanded upon over years, to the point that there are some roots in the Raspberry Pi that go all the way back to ZX80. Sunny Mango, you made it. Hope you got some of the project. We started at about 48, so you might have missed a little. Dave, do you have any certifications other than CompTIA? I hold no other computer certifications. I have other certifications in other fields. I got a real nice little card-sized one that says airline transport pilot, certified flight instructor, instrument, multi-engine. There's a couple other, I got some ancient Cisco certifications over here. I'm sure they're not grandfathered alive anymore. And I hold no CompTIA certifications. Total Seminars is a very rare entity. We are a mobile Pearson VUE testing center. And there's a lot of criteria that come with being able to do that. For instance, who can proctor an exam? And the rules have changed a few years back. Used to be I could be CompTIA certified, teach a CompTIA course, and then deliver that exam to my students the day after I'm done with the course or the last day of the course. And then they changed that and they pulled those rules. So it was no longer possible for me to go on the road all by myself, do a class, and then proctor an exam. I could set up the exam and all that good stuff, but on the day that we were going to do the exam, the night before, whatever, we had to bring in somebody from the company to be the proctor. And that's a pain. So two new rules. They dropped, or they made a rule that said can't be CompTIA certified and proctor. So I let all my certifications expire. Cool, now I can do it again. And then they added a new rule, you can't proctor an exam for people that you've taught. So now it's actually kind of useless, and I guess I could go pursue CompTIA certifications again. But why? I don't need them. And if I do, I don't have to get them the traditional way. As an instructor and as my old relationship with CompTIA, I can use their one of their alternative programs and re-up at least my old ones. New ones, I got to do the traditional way, of course. So I think the short answer is no, just pilot stuff. Reading questions, passing 308. Sir Clive, famous for the first major British mass-marketed personal computer, also for the epic Sinclair C5 e-trike. Right, there's pictures. If you look up his obit, you see him riding around on his e-trike. My beloved first computer, a Timex Sinclair 1000. Okay. I never owned one, but I certainly played with one. Citadel certificate tutorial. Okay, I posted that at 323 and Cool Tools at 325. Did someone say hack? Yes, I said hack. Hey, so you got that challenge from your friend. I would document it and publish it. It'll be fun. Jason Helms, hate to say it, but might be deleting my Facebook. Dave Rush, you asked about how many social media as part of my job, and they have a whole book on social media do's and don'ts. Okay. That's an interesting thing. It would be unfortunate if you have to delete it, but Avanade was a proctor at Prometric. Prometric was the big competitor to Pearson VUE. I took most of my early private written exams at Prometrics. See all these folks getting their certs inspired me to get mine. Very good. I'm also going to get him to put it in writing. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I like that. I challenged my friend to hack me. Here's my experience on the hackage side of it. Very cool. Michael Lovell at 3:34. Greetings, Michael. I ordered a 0 today, waiting for it to come in. So I'm gonna need to pick a project. I'm thinking Pi-hole. Excellent choice for it. So if you're gonna use a Pi-hole on a 0, you want you've got two choices, I think is what we've got to say here. You're either gonna need a dongle, an Ethernet dongle or a Wi-Fi dongle that can go into the USB-C connector on there, or you want to get, I don't know what you ordered, but hopefully you ordered the Wi-Fi one. And Wi-Fi one is utterly cool. Its performance is absolutely fantastic. But remember, there's very little actual DNS communication going on, even in a busy server. You're not going to swamp Wi-Fi, even if it's old N or G on a Pi-hole. So cool. I think it's an excellent project. You'll be very happy. Permission slip. Yeah, I got a presentation. Okay, so when did we do Pi-hole? I can look that up. I got the documents up right here. I think we did that back in 2020. That's the 2020 document. Pi-hole. Installing a Pi-hole. Okay, I'm going to post the link for this. And it's going to have too many letters in there, but that's all right. I can fix that. Rush and Scott Jernigan. There were too many questions about bash scripting. We've got to pull out the thing about the bash scripting. Weren't you going to update for the Pi-hole project? I might have. I have the memory of a gnat. I don't recall that. Let me think about that for a second while I finish fixing this. Yeah, Scott and I did that show together. That was on, wow, 9/11 last year, 9/11/2020. Just posted the link now at 37 minutes past the hour. So was I going to update the Pi-hole project? Nothing has changed. So if I was, I've completely forgotten how or why. Everything that's in that 9/11 episode is current. So maybe you and I'll get together and talk offline and see if I can remember what or why I was going to do that. The only update that I specifically recall talking about was noobs, right? Our very first episode we did was how to use noobs to install Raspberry Pi OS. It was Raspbian back then. And about a month ago, we did that update on the new way to install Raspberry Pi OS because noobs is gone. Long live noobs. Okay, good. We're singing from the same hymnal. I like that. Okay, other Network Plus. What cert should I get? All of them. Come on, Andrew. Now you know. What cert should I get? That's backward, right? So I don't get a cert so that I can find out what job it will get me. I look for the job that I want, and then I find out what certifications I need to pursue that job. And ideally, I'll get some certifications that'll get me close, and then I'll get the company to pay for the rest of them. Doesn't always work that way, but yeah, I just, so, but I think there's one really good thing that we can do here, and that is, as part of that, what certifications lead to what kind of jobs? That's an interesting question. It's a little bit different. head over to your favorite job sites, Monster, Indeed, LinkedIn. There's another one in that list that I always forget. It reminds me of Indeed, but whatever. Somebody point out the other big job site and do a search on CompTIA A+, CompTIA Network Plus, CompTIA Security Plus, Pen Test Plus, any of those kind of things, CCNA, and let's see what kind of companies, Glassdoor, not what I'm thinking of, but yeah, Glassdoor is a really cool place because it's, if you're not familiar with Glassdoor, check out glassdoor.com. Two things on Glassdoor. One, it's got job listings, and two, is it has reports by people who have worked at a particular company, and they post a review of what it was like to work there. And there's a lot of wonderful glowing reports of great companies, and there's a lot of bashing on there. And sometimes it's just fun to read. It's fun to read. It's almost as fun as watching YouTube do cute and cuddly kittens. You can kill an hour or so easily just reading bash jobs. Someone just talked to me during your response to me, rewatching it now. Okay, you got the Wi-Fi going. Okay, so I went into overkill, but good. You'll like that. You'll have fun. And check out the link that I just posted underneath that post you made. And that's where we talked about how to install Pi-hole. It's really, really, really easy. You remember that one. Good. Thanks. I own 4, but that's it for another project, and I'll get around to it when I have more time. Okay. I'm singing to the choir. I like guys who own 4. You need more, but it's a good start. I'm a noob. Yeah, Pentest Plus, sure. Dice, not the one I'm thinking of, but Dice is a very impressive one. They're a technical job listing site, like those guys. I don't know. I've never looked at Glassdoor for Total SEM. It should be glowing. I don't recall anybody ever left under bad terms, and that's the usual reason you post a bash job, right? Hey, well, we're winding things up here. It's 41 past the hour. I don't mind doing that. Let me talk a little bit about it. I've run through this list before. I've added one to my master list, but I didn't put it on this list. Tell you what, I'm going to bring something up here. Give me a second just to do this. We're talking about future projects. My plan that I'd kind of worked out with one of the regulars who's online here today was to do RetroPie after the 3-show email thing. And what I was planning on doing then is after 2 email shows, work on the 3rd email show, and at the same time work on RetroPie, so I'd have 2 weeks to work on it. And what then, because that means I need 2 weeks to work on it. So I'm going to do not RetroPie next week. I'll pick something else from this list. But the week after that, the plan is RetroPie. But I want to see the thing that I added because it's really cool. Stand by here, up one. Go down to feature ideas. There it is. Okay, thanks, Andrew, on the back channel. Man, I found a couple of toys that I tried to negotiate with the guy who had them. They're called Intel Neural Compute Stick Model 2 that I was going to do computer vision AI with you, but we never came to it. I'm looking at an install of a version of Linux called Rocky for Raspberry Pi. And it's a Red Hat Enterprise Linux clone. And I'm going to add that into the list of future things. Let me close this and put that on my other list. And let me mention that to you. Why? What is Red Hat Enterprise Linux? There's a lot of really good Linux distros, and there's a lot of them that are available for the Raspberry Pi. obviously Raspberry Pi OS, the biggie. I think after that comes Ubuntu. And after that, there's a few others. Red Hat doesn't install on there. And if we want to move beyond the hobbyist world that we live in Raspberry Pi, is the email server that we just made hobbyist? No, if I secure that and I harden it, I would be totally comfortable making that a real email server. I would use a different storage device. I wouldn't use a micro SD, but I would use a hard drive or an SSD or something like that. And that's fine. But the industry out there, they're not going to feel comfortable, a company, a Fortune 500, saying, yeah, we run most of our servers on Raspberry Pis and a few of them on super micro servers. So, okay, we need to step up in hardware. And by the same token, they're looking at the things they need to operate their environments on, the development environments, their web servers, their SQL Server platforms, and so many other things that are done at the enterprise level that Raspberry Pi OS doesn't fit well within there. Ubuntu fits okay, but it's not the number one. The number one by far and away in the install base of Linux servers in the upper enterprise world is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So if you are considering pursuing a career in Linux administration in the corporate world, you're going to have to learn some Red Hat. But I think here's an awesome way to do that. If we install Rocky Linux on a Raspberry Pi, all the stuff is there. The add-ons, the way it works, the commands. And so you start getting comfortable with that now before you can get your hands on a real server and a real copy ain't free of RHEL, they call it, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, RHEL. Then you got your foot in the door. You're already learning that. So things to talk about. We did the 2 more email episodes. We got RetroPie coming in 2 weeks. We got a Minecraft server. So just some fun stuff in the near list. We've got 3 Raspberry Pi Pico projects coming up. I might do one of those next week just because it's simple, clean, and fun, and I can introduce some concepts to you. Clam antivirus, Clam AV. Some discussion popped up on Discord this week, and let's Scott, if you're listening, would you pop up the Discord link one more time? We're going to go to I'm going to go to Discord after we're done with the show here. 10 or 15 minutes after the show, I'll be on. If you're already on, cool beans. I hope you'll join us. Bring mics and cameras, or come in and just type text, and it'll be great. Love that stuff. So there was some discussion this week about viruses and their prevalence in PC versus Mac versus Linux. And folks, none of them are immune. Okay, so there's some decent antivirus out there, and one of the very popular ones is Clam, or Clam AV. Thank you, Scott. Posted at 347. And so that's something we want to explore. We've also got turning our Pi into a WAP. We got turning a Pi into a router, doing wired, wireless, mist. And one that I've been excited about chewing on for a little while, let's call this in the next 8 to 10 weeks, we're going to do Kubernetes clusters. I think that one's a really important thing. Fun. We can install Android on Raspberry Pi. It's not a perfect thing out there, but it gets better and better. One that has really appealed to me is create pirate radio. I want to send my own radio station and make it available on there. I highly recommend what? Oh, RHEL. Did you get to play with Rocky, Andrew? I know I'd posted that for you a little while. And it's a little late in the season down here. We're coming into fall, but you know what? Maybe now is actually a pretty good time to do this episode, setting up a home sprinkler system that's controlled by a Raspberry Pi. That way you've got until planting season to get it built. And then when planting season comes around, you lay in your irrigation tubes and you're ready to rock. All right, a couple others in my list. So I'll pick one of those things that's not too complicated to do in the next next Friday, and then the week after that, the plan is RetroPie. Viruses for the past 2 years at least. Okay, so we winding up here. It wasn't bad. 10 minutes to go. We covered a lot of good ground here. you got any last questions, let's get them up. And I'm going to get this thing up. Hey, I like that. And you go over here. Okay, a couple more things popping up here. Joey Quetzel, good to see you, my friend. Do you have a course or an episode on how to use the Bash terminal? Yes, I started a Bash episode on 9/11 last year, and we got cut off because we had another project. We had 3 projects that day, and they got swamped. So let me go see when I did Bash. I don't know if I pushed it back 1 week from that show or the following, 9/18. Yes. Okay, so I did it on 9/18 of 2020. I'm going to post the link right now. And I will tell you that we started it at time mark 142. In fact, I'll add that to this post here. Time mark 142. That's an hour and 42 minutes into the show. And then did I carry that onto the following week? Because I remember that being a large bag to carry. Okay, then Dr. Upton came in 25 on the 25th, 2 weeks after that. Now, I guess we covered all the basics that week. There's a lot more that can be done with what we did there, but check out the archive show on 9/18 of 2020. Cool. All right, well, let's wind things up a little bit. Move this over here. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry, looking at some notes that needed to be deleted from here. Doesn't hurt it, but you guys will see some of my old outdated notes about what some things I did and when I did them. Mike's got his regular show coming up on Monday and Wednesday. He hasn't committed to any feature topics, but you never know. And you never know if Scott's going to join him. Like I said, if you didn't see Scott and Mike together 2 days ago on their show, they're always good together. But wow, they were just so on. It was just, I could watch that all day. Scott's posted the AMA discount deals for this week. They expire this Sunday. So 50% off the bundles of ebooks and Total Tester for A+. We got bundles for Net Plus, for Sec Plus, for CYSA Plus, Pen Test, and AWS SAA, Systems Architecture Associate. It came to me. All right, let's close things up then. Many thanks as ever and always to Scott Jernigan for working both the chat and the back channel. He's given me great feedback and great information and great research. Awesome as always. He and I are in a fantasy football league this season together. He's killing me. He is utterly killing me. He's either number 1 or 2 in the league. And I didn't do anything at all in the first week. I kind of signed up as a favor to the league because they were a man short and busy schedule. I didn't do anything. I am in 12th out of 12 place because I just didn't do anything. I let the auto draft take care of me last week and didn't do, so I'm murdered. But I did get on for a little bit yesterday and do a little bit of tuning and tweaking for this weekend's game. So hopefully I won't die. And I don't think Scott's good at this stuff, guys. You want to talk football? Scott's one of your guys. Also, my thanks, of course, to Mike Myers. Lets me get together with you guys once a week to do this stuff. And to Michael Smyer and all the other people who work the back channel. To Andrew Hutz, you need to be included in the thank you list now. Working front channel and back channel. This has been David Rush. I'm the senior instructor at Total Seminars and resident Pi specialist. Wishing you a great weekend. Take care of each other. Oops, let me do this here. Take serious steps to stay healthy. Call or visit your parents and the rest of your family. And never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. So with that, I wish you good night. We'll see you on Discord in about 10 minutes and at the AMA next week. And until then, I am out of here.